lovely day.
Say hello. Aloha, good morning. We are just booting up all the things, and we will be with you in just a few moments and get started. No time better than meow.
Hello. We are now live streaming all across planet Earth.
Aloha, Anna.
Our biggest fan.
Okay. Welcome, guys. I'm Brandon Greff, and I'm one of the Play Shop facilitators and re-membership director, community ambassador, many things, many hats. Also, a Chewbacca. And I was planning on doing a spirit animal embodiment workshop today, if you happen to see that on the schedule, and I feel like something much stronger coming through that would be more raw and authentic and more valuable to offer to each of you. Something super important to me is sitting with and processing emotions and seeing that, recognizing that it's energy in motion to be moved through, and as energy is feeling stagnant, then to open up channels to allow it to flow. And been feeling a little bit of stagnation with a few people here and there throughout the group, and one such being who's agreed graciously to come process this in front of and with you guys is Damiana. And Damiana I love so very, very much. One of the biggest advocates for her healing and her sensual awakenings and everything that she has to offer and all the gifts she has to offer. This is why I fully trust her to show up with grace and navigate whatever it is that must come up to help us move through and move forward with more harmony and more cohesion. And there also seems to be some pings of this like ancestral trauma, which is really potent today because we're both Jewish and today's Passover, and there's a lot of timeline trauma there. And when one of us heals, we're healing for the collective. And so I invite anybody who's here to bring up what's coming up for them and how this can support your journey as well. If you have any other questions about how we're processing and or how, what's coming up for you would love to be processed, then please drop that in the comments and we will navigate it with you. We're here for each other.
We got some comments. Cosmic Dariana says, "Hey guys, miss those faces." Yeah. And then Anna says, "I love the onesie." I love these lovely faces. And also, I love Damiana.
I love you.
Ashley Peralto, hello.
Good morning.
Grand Rising.
So we have a comment that says your voice is not so clear. I cannot hear it so good. So maybe we'll turn this up, and then let's also be a little louder. Oh yeah. So maybe we'll just get to be a little louder.
Yeah.
Which is a great practice anyway. Being louder. So
Shan Carsey, hello.
Do you want to turn it a little bit, Magic?
Sid, hello to you too. Beautiful.
Do you want to actually? We can just get a little closer, so that we can both. Okay. So, as you all might know, I'm also a really big advocate for, as just this knowing of that, like when one of us heals, we all heal. And so, the fact that Brandon was feeling this way and really wanted to move through something, and asked me this morning when I came in if I was willing to do it on here. I really take that as an opportunity to help transform everything for as many people as are open to receiving it. So it won't just even be the people who are here watching. It'll be everyone in the world who is like at this point in their life where they're ready to open themselves to this kind of experience. So aloha, Angela. Love you so much. Angelica.
We have a beautiful comment from Chris. He says, digging the onesie. And he said, isolation usually calls us to be our true selves, and I find that beautiful in all of this.
Thank you. Hi, Scott. Good morning.
Leisure Trip says hello.
So we are going
Angela, hello.
Yay, Angela.
Angelica, hello.
So we are going to basically go into a processing of emotions that have been coming up for Brandon and for me as well. But this is something that's really heavy on Brandon's heart, so this is what we're going to dive into. So feel free to ask questions as we're doing this, or comment, and we will support you throughout, or as we're done or something. We'll just kind of feel the flow. So yeah, so Brandon, what are you feeling, experiencing, wanting to dive into?
Pink moon it is, Tough King, pink moon. I also love her flowy pants.
Maybe we can kind of let the comments build and then address them at a time, so that we can also be fully present for
Let's do it.
What is going through. And I love you guys, and I really, like, one of my most highest excitements is really connecting with each one of you individually, and really having time and space for that connection. And that's why this is so important for me with Damiana, is because we both feel this way. Like, when something's coming up, we want to drop everything and like address it. I can speak for myself, but I believe I've witnessed that in you as well. And because we've been spending so much time in this like masculine execution, creating all of these magical things to offer and share with the world, that we haven't really been able to create the time to do this. So I'm really excited to utilize this time in a way that is really conducive to my heart and our relationship and our relationship.
Yes, yes, yes. Yay, and she said she can hear you better. So good job with the speaking. Keep speaking loud.
Working on
Share
that
your
throat
voice.
chakra.
Yeah, we're clearing it and opening it.
We're here for you. Go for it.
Awesome. Yay.
Thank you guys.
Thank
I love
you
so much.
Awesome.
So I feel like there's several layers, and I just brought this as kind of like a totem and like an access point, because I feel like it's just like one of the very maybe smallest points of like friction, I feel like, between us. And I really love this piece a lot. This is Magic's Merkaba, in case you all have not gotten to witness the magic of his magical arts. And this jumped out at me during one of Damiana's sensual awakenings, actually. And it was in a pile of other Merkabas, and I don't know why this one specifically jumped out, but apparently this was Damiana's personal Merkaba. And that became apparent afterwards, after like it had claimed me. I did not claim it. And and maybe this is just my story, but I believe that there was some tension following, and it seems to have like kind of passed, or maybe just gotten swept under the rug, but I feel like I'm like resistant to even wearing it now.
Oh.
Because I feel like there's this like, I'm just going to name it and trust that you know that this is my story and not my truth. That there's this like passive aggressive almost like ownership, or like that there's this feeling of, I don't know if I can even put my finger on it, but like annoyance maybe, that I took this from you and that I want it to be like as clear of a channel of like magic that it is represented in this clear quartz and beautiful Merkaba and all this. And I don't know, what does that bring up for you?
Well, it brings up just observing and witnessing you and your experience, and really, it's also really helping me to see how it's a really powerful reminder of that we all have our own perception and story of what something means and like what that might now mean because of that thing. And it's helping me to actually take an even broader view of like the observer and the witness of you and your experience, because I have literally none attachments to this. And and it was literally the day that it happened, it was more of like a moment of like, wow, that was the one that I wear. And you were like, this wants me to wear it. And you started wearing it, and you were wearing it every day. And I was like, wow, that was for you. And magic can make me another one in an instant. Like I have another one. He already made another one.
Sure.
So it's really beautiful to see, and for me to witness and remember that I have no idea what you're thinking or what you're going through, or like something that literally, like, I mean, I want you to be wearing this every day as often as you can. And so to know, I actually wondered the other day, I was like, oh, he's not wearing his Merkaba anymore. I wonder what that's about. And so now I know it's literally because you thought that I had a level, and I understand why from like the first maybe experience, but that being able to see the difference of the perspective of how you took that first experience and how I had my experience, but then in that moment fully let it go. It was like me just expressing it, that was something that has carried so much, like it's been through a lot, even just the few weeks that I was wearing it, maybe a month or something. And so the fact that you energetically felt called to it, it was like, oh, no, it's your medicine. Whatever it went through with me and whatever it was birthed with and wanted to come through as this portal of magic, of a Merkaba, like it's a very powerful energy, and now it wants to be with you. And so it was more like me noticing and experiencing it and releasing it right then and there in that moment, and like this gets to be worn by you now, and this gets to help support you and your medicine and what you're here to bring to the world. And I want nothing more than for you to wear this every day and to tell people about it when they ask about it, and to answer questions if they're like, what the fuck's a Merkaba? You know, and like that's like what I want more than anything. So I'm so grateful that that's the opportunity that we have to both sides of that story.
Beautiful, thank you. So what's coming up for me is, are you complete?
Yeah.
I feel right. So what's coming up for me is that I actually did not think you took it personally the first time, or even the second or third, or like it became like a thing that every time I was wearing it, you would either like kind of retell that story of how it used to be yours. And so once again, I didn't know like if you were really taking it personally, or just that's where the passive aggressive sort of like story came in. I was like, maybe this really bugs her that every time I wear it, she needs to announce to everybody that it used to be hers. And I would love to see if that shifts that perspective, or what that additional piece brings up for you.
I feel like more than anything of what the intention might have been with that is like is maybe more, because I'm actually not even, I mean, I'm sure that that's what happened, but I don't have like a memory of that, because obviously it didn't hold weight to me. It was more like a passing saying something. And what I would imagine that was coming from was maybe either an intention of like how much medicine that has carried, because it has now been passed down. I believe that when something has not just been bought brand new, it actually carries much more energy behind it. So even crystals, like I don't buy crystals. I only give crystals away or have them be given to me because of there's so much medicine within the story, and how many people it's helped heal, and how many like the energetics that have been moved through it. So the only thing I can imagine would be that it was more of like a, wow, that has so much medicine. It's been passed down and now it's Brandon's, and who knows where that might end up, because you may gift that to someone someday, you know? And so like, it's almost like the traveling thing. And there's something else like we have like that we have this hat that kind of has been passed down, and who knows where that's going to end up. And I really like the idea of the power of gifting things and how things continue to like, it's like that, it's like a tumbleweed, how it like gathers more and more and bigger and bigger and bigger energy. Mm-hmm. And so then when we move it to something else, it's like holding all of that magic within it. But I can totally see how maybe the way I said it, or if it happened a certain amount of times in a certain amount of ways, or energy, like the feeling that you had when I said it and the feeling that I said it with something, like I can totally understand how it might have felt like a level of ownership, of like mineness, which I have, like I want you to know like right now, so you really know, like there's no mine to this at all. Like this is such a ultimately, like you get to wield it, you're like the shepherd of it, but ultimately there is no ownership in general. It was birthed through magic's artistry, and now it's here, and now you get to wield it and support it and be a carrier of its medicine and offer it to others. The medicine, whether or not you give it to them, you're still giving them the medicine through just you wielding it and you shepherding it. There's some comments that I'd love to share, or questions.
From Magic.
From Magic?
From Magic.
Yeah.
This magic.
Oh, okay.
Me.
Well, another magic?
So I just wanna.
Will you come in? Will you speak? They've said this, that they really like when they can see your face. This is growth edge, babe. Growth edge.
Hello. So I just want to put from an outside perspective of, I know your intentions are good, especially because I've seen you. We have released a lot of things lately, a lot. And we've moved around some places, and I was like, hey, let's just get rid of so much stuff. And so she gave away a lot of things to her friends as well. And
which is really challenging for me, because material stuff is something I've been really working on releasing. So there is a level of moving through ownership in general, like around things. Totally.
And so going through that process, she gave away some things to her friends, and then she saw... Oh my God. She doesn't know what happened. She gave away some things to friends, and then she saw them like maybe at a party or something. Actually, I think it was, there was a place where we saw somebody here, and when she saw them, she was like, "Oh my God, that's mine!" and told people like, "Look, I gave them to them. Look, I'm giving it new life." Blah, blah, blah. And her intention was good. It was just like, "Oh, this is something that I gave away, and now you have it," and blah. But in bringing that up around other people, I could tell that the people that she lent it to were kind of like, it made them feel a little bit certain type of way. I don't know exactly, because each one is specific and everyone's experience is different. But I'm seeing that now, once again, Brandon kind of got the same feeling of, she brought it up in front of people and was like, hey, look, it's like almost like I gave this to him and he's cool because of me kind of feeling. And I feel that, but I know that her intention is not to, like, showboat or, like, be like, I have all the dope shit, and now they get to, wear it for a little bit, but that is being brought up, and it's being felt by the opposite person, so I want to maybe feel how we could either shift it, or, like, maybe, like, oh, maybe the way I am saying it kind of does make people feel that way, and even though I don't mean it to, or maybe, I just want to feel into what that comment is, because I know that Brandon's not the only one that's feeling that. So let's maybe bring some clarity to that.
I mean, I can imagine part of the releasing of the things for me is releasing the attachment to the things, the material objects, which has been something that is such a process of letting go and moving away from the identification with material things, which is something that I have, for like most of my life, had a lot of like identification with, and feeling like those things are like our value or our worth is like the things that we have. Because I did not have much things when I was growing up, and I had like no money. Like my family was very poor, so, or not poor, but you know, not rich, but whatever. I had lots of love, but anyway, so just feeling that maybe that, you know, this releasing of the attachments and maybe bringing more awareness to the intention behind saying something, or like the way that it could be received, or the way that it might be portrayed if I am like bringing it up to someone. And so I'm seeing that that's the way that can affect people. It's a little... Jennifer says, I don't know anyone here, but I feel like she was just acknowledging the gift in letting go of things. Yeah, completely. It is such a gift, and I feel like we just get lighter. I'm lighter and less dense as I'm releasing more, and as we release layers. Like there's so much more that can come through. So I'm seeing how this is, obviously, how this can affect people, and also the gift and the opportunity that is within that.
Beautiful. Yeah, I want to just take a moment and address a few things that are coming through. You guys are amazing. I fucking love you. Well, maybe I can't say that, but I love you guys. Damiana, you are so sweet and so kind. And I'm crying that you all get to share this with one another. And I can relate, as I have so many things to confess to my family, but I can't get it out of me.
Oh.
I feel that so strongly, and it's so important. It's like literally one of the most important things to me ever. It's been so important to me that like I said before, I drop everything to like make this happen. And sometimes that gets in the way of like, you know, getting stuff done. But ultimately, like emotional work, emotional processing, like that is productive too, because it creates space, it creates fertility for things to actually grow properly. And Morton, Nana, thank you for seeing the value in what we're doing, and I really hope that this creates just like even a little bit of the tiniest bit of inspiration to open up to your family as well.
And recognizing, I just want to share that oftentimes Anna and anyone else who's listening, we have this belief system that says, because of our programming of our world, but it says that if we're vulnerable and we express ourselves and we ask for support or we share in certain ways, that we'll actually be like scrutinized or punished or shamed for that. But it actually brings people together, and it creates more connection and more love and more support, and it gives people the opportunity to really lean in to know how you're feeling and what you're experiencing, which ultimately just brings people together, and so it actually closes the gaps of separation. So the more that we can be vulnerable and express ourselves, we will actually experience really more of what we actually want to see and to feel. So I just really invite more of our stepping into full expression and being able to really share.
Another thing from Morton Anna that's coming up for you is that I feel the need or have a connection. I feel the need to have a connection with my birth mother and feel as if that is something that is eating me up inside. That I definitely feel super personally. I didn't get to have a personal relationship with my birth mother for pretty much the last 8 years of her life, and now she's passed on, and now I actually get to feel her closer in spirit than I really almost ever did for the last like decade of my own life. And yeah, I don't know if that provides any solace. It wouldn't for me if I was in your position and she was alive and well, and like I still felt like I couldn't talk to her. But I feel you, and whatever the contract that it is that you guys have come into this life to live out, and the gifts and medicine you have to share with one another are super potent, and it's unfolding exactly as it needs to. So I just invite you to be patient with that process, and also on the other end of the spectrum with my own dad is like the less that I tried to push this sort of thing to happen, and that I let go of actually trying to shift or change him in any sort of way, and just like focus back on myself, which ultimately all of this is just a reflection to grow ourselves. That as I started to release and grow and cultivate these things, that he also stepped more into that himself, and so that's just like a potent thing, that when we can surrender to it, that we get exactly what we were looking for in the first place.
Truly. Ashley Peralta, aloha, love. She says, I really respect you both being vulnerable and giving us a model of productive resolution.
Yes.
Thank you for that. Yeah, that's really why we're doing this. So thank you for seeing that. And yeah, we're able, being vulnerable enough and willing to offer ourselves ultimately as a gift, as food for others. It's not always easy, but it actually is really simple. It's really simple to just be able to like, all I have to do is just express myself and share openly and vulnerably, and like just be willing to express and just be willing to let go of the ego and the mind that tells us that there is something wrong with what we're feeling, or that tells us that our belief system or our patterns say that we can't do that something is blocking us from just being able to express, being able to ask for support, being able to say, hey, I'm feeling something right now. Can we process it? And it is so simple, but it really is just not always easy. And so this is we're getting to practice this in front of everyone right now. We're getting to, as Matt Kahn says, bleed on stage. Nicole Osborne says, thank you guys so much for your vulnerability and for modeling a way to respectfully work through emotional turbulence with another. Thank you, Nicole. Yeah. And this is something that, obviously, as you can imagine, when you go through something or you're feeling this like heavy weightedness, it becomes sometimes so big and so heavy because it's just been pushed to the side so often for so long that it becomes way bigger. And it becomes something that like, okay, I have to take care of this now because like this is affecting everything else. It's affecting my work. I can't sleep at night, whatever it is. Like sometimes people will, it'll drive them crazy if we let it, so it's so important to create space to allow for it to come through.
Yeah. I mean, for example, clearly this like necklace thing is such a minimal thing, but because it's dragged on and dragged on and dragged on, there's like almost every interaction I'm like immediately irritated, and it's like, and it's not just this.
Yeah, but that's like, obviously where it stemmed from. That was like the root of like the first little thing, it seems like. Maybe, I don't know.
I don't know either.
But either way, it's like, I would never have known that. I never would have known that. I never would have thought that this necklace held any significance or weight, because that wasn't it's just not how I was feeling. But the way that I expressed something, and the timing or whatever it was, where he was at when I said it, where the way I said it, it caused this ripple effect. And so it's so beautiful to get to like see how we can shift that now.
Pixie Flow said, thanks for being you. Right when I needed connection, the universe provided.
I love that.
Can we connect? I feel as if that's a connection I have with you. More than Anna. You're so very important to me, and I keep people very close to me who are adopted. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's for me or for Damiana. I mean, you're
I think
welcome to connect with.
What you shared about your mom.
Oh, yeah. And there's another comment you need help with. So, yeah, anybody, more than Anna, and just like anybody else who's feeling really called to have support in processing anything that life is throwing at you, like please reach out to us. This is where we focus our work and our energy, and it's in our highest excitement to support you in these ways. So please reach out to us.
Yeah, and will you scroll up someone else? Oh, okay. Jennifer says, thank you for sharing this process. Whenever I try to do this with my partner, he immediately gets defensive, and it takes him a long time to get to the point where he can actually hear what I'm saying and know that it's coming from a place of love. Wish he was more receptive. Thank you.
Put him on camera.
Wow. Yeah, put him on camera. It might make it easier.
Actually,
there is a lot of... Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd second those things, because this has been the easiest process between you and I that I feel like, and I feel like that brings up the like next thing, the like deeper thing for me is like anytime I try to bring something up like this, I feel like you get super defensive. And then like kind of also do some sort of thing like where you flip it back on me, and it's all of a sudden it's my opportunity for growth, which of course it is, you know, and it's all reflections. It's just defensiveness. That's a fun one to dive into.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to hear you say that, because I mean, we are so reflections, and I just see you lots of defensive, pretty consistent, and so it's like, yeah, we're reflections. And I also like, it's to flip it on someone, it's the way that you're saying it, and I can imagine what it feels like, but it's always an opportunity for both parties. And so I don't know if like even bringing something up, you know, anytime you're bringing something up about anything, it's an opportunity for both. It's never one person, because it's a co-creation. So even if maybe it's being taken, like it's on you and you need to work on it. I mean, even what I said yesterday was like, when you brought something up, I wasn't saying this has nothing to do with me, you need to figure it out. What I was saying is like, I know that there's something here, and the fact that what's the common denominator? You're experiencing this with so many people. And so there is something there that is like, there's something deep rooted within you that is causing there to be so many. If it was just me, I'd be like, oh, this is just us, clearly. Totally. But because it's like, you know, that's why I reflected that. And so I hope that I hear now that maybe you're receiving it as like, oh, this is on you, you need to figure it out. But I want you to know that whenever I do, and maybe it doesn't feel like that, but I always know it's an opportunity. For sure. For unity. I mean, the word opportunity literally has the word unity in it. It's for unity, basically. And so any opportunity that arises, you know, what the mind calls a problem, love and our remembering of the truth of who we are calls an opportunity. We call it truly an opportunity. And so when we can see all of these situations as that, then we can actually come at it with a knowing that, wow, I get to transform and I get to heal this thing, and now I get to release it and dissolve those layers that are holding us back. So and I definitely, especially for people who get defensive, I think one of a really powerful process that you can do to help shift that is, instead of pointing fingers at someone and saying, you did this, every time, you never do this, or whatever it is, like the way to start that conversation is to start by how you feel and what you're experiencing. I am experiencing this thing every time I think about my necklace. Every time I share this thing, I'm experiencing this because I imagine that you have whatever it is, but like really starting from that place of like, I feel, I'm experiencing, taking full ownership for your own experience instead of pointing fingers and pushing it off on someone, which is such an opportunity for all of us, because we all do this. It's in our nature of what we've been programmed and trained into, with the ego being so defensive of like dying, of going away, of like not being in the picture anymore. And so we all really have an opportunity to completely flip the script and flip the way that we choose to go about these things. And when you start from that place of vulnerability, people rarely are going to get defensive, because you are coming to them with, I am feeling this tightness in my throat every time I hear this, because I feel like I can't speak to what I'm really feeling, because I feel like I can't open my voice and share what I want to share, because I'm afraid that you might leave me. I'm afraid that you might hate me. I'm afraid that you might judge me, whatever it is. If you say those kinds of things, for some, like, it would be so hard for someone to be like, fuck you, the way you're feeling, I'm leaving. It's like someone's going to be like, lean in and be like, oh my God, you feel that way? Oh my God, every time I every time I do this thing, you feel like you just want to like cry, or you want to, you feel sick to your stomach. I make you feel sick to your stomach. And it's not even that I or that person is making you feel that way, but it's that chain reaction of the alchemy between the two parties. So it really gives it gives an opening. When we take ownership, it's like there's an opening for someone to lean in and be like, wow, you feel that way. Like, I have compassion for you and what you're experiencing. We've got a couple comments here.
Well, before we dive into it,
I would love to hear.
I really, really appreciate all of that. And this has been something that's coming through for me. Here's my spirit animal. See, we still brought the spirit animal embodiment. Say hi, maybe. So, yeah, I definitely recognize that the defensiveness that is triggering me is because I observe it so strongly in myself as well. And it's something I wish I didn't bring forth in my relationships. And as far as also this comment that you left, Jennifer, you wish your partner was more receptive instead of defensive. And I've been recognizing that as well. Like, when I've been bottling something up so much that, like, every time we have an interaction that I'm, like, immediately irritated or frustrated, it's like I'm coming at it with that blame and that pushing away and that annoyance that is like, okay, well, I don't want to fix that. But if you're right, when I come at it with, like, just, like, grace and presence and, like, just feeling into and, like, nurturing and holding myself and, like, okay, this is what I'm feeling and what I would love to release. And you're like, oh, I would love to help you release that. Like, whatever part I play in that, and, like, da-da-da-da. It's like, oh, okay, here it is. It's approaching it with that ease and that openness, as opposed to, like, I can't take this anymore and I need to push this onto other.
And that really, as well, it's like you're handing someone a gift of, like, this gift of transformation and healing. Because anytime you have something come up for you, for any of us, that we have something come up, that is an absolute gift for yourself to release layers and dissolve old patterns and old belief systems to truly step into the next layer. It's to the next level. It's like a level up. It's truly, I mean, that's the opportunity for growth. And so you are giving that to someone when you bring that to someone as, like, this is what I'm experiencing. Would you like to, like, would you like to support in moving through that? Because there's always something there for the other person as well. And yeah, there's obviously so much more there, but that's really beautiful.
Pixie Flow says, I lost my dad 2 years ago. My mother is sick right now. I relate to what you said about feeling closer than when they to them after they've passed in the physical realm. I do realize with my mother the real miracle starts with myself. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, just on that note again, what's coming up for me is, like, after 8 years of, like, brooding and penting up all these, like, emotions and blame and how could you and, like, I had, like, this laundry list of things I was gonna go just, like, vent to her when I finally did reconnect with her, not fully knowing, like, the state that she was in and that she wasn't really available or receptive to any of that anyways. And either way, I was just like, fine, she can't really respond back, but I'm still gonna just say my piece so that I can feel better about it. And then I actually dropped in with her and just, like, connected, just, like, in an eye gazing or whatever it was, and I just, like, none of that mattered to me. And all I could tell her was how much I fucking loved her.
It's the most important thing. None of the stories
it's the only thing
really matter. Like, ultimately, they don't really matter. They're just these things that we hold on to. And we don't have to, but we think we do. And it's we as a collective have been so stuck in our stories. Our stories are the things that have, like, created us, right? But ultimately, it's the experience that we had that brought us to where we are. The story is just the story. It's not what made us. It's the way that we chose to move from that experience. It's the way that we chose to react or respond and what we chose to do with that information or what we chose to do from that experience. So we, as we're moving into this new way of being in the world, as the old world and the old ways are literally collapsing right now. They're collapsing. Everything is transforming. And as that is happening, this is such a big part of it. It's like that attachment to our stories, that attachment to these woundings and these old traumas that we get to ask ourselves, like, is this serving us? Is this actually serving my highest, our highest good of what we are here to be and bring to this planet?
What if there were no stories? What if there were only gifts and presents?
And then stories became a beautiful, magical thing that we just got to share with people, because story medicine is powerful ways that we can learn. We learn through stories. We remember through stories. There's so much through stories, but it's story medicine. So how is your story medicine? How is your story able to offer you and others pure medicine? It's a gift, right? And only using it for that. How can we only use our gifts, our stories as gifts? 3 Eden Rose Consciousness Coach said, I love this. I'm a twin flame, and this has been my lesson for the last 2 decades. Wow. I have a clearing statement that I'd love to offer. Yes, please put it in the comments. And then they said that would be awesome about the no stories. It's the best way to learn. It's like the story medicine.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge proponent of like narrative therapy, but this question was proposed to me by one of my good friends, Molly. She's also like a coach and healer, and she's at Wild Hearts Rise Up, whatever. Shameless plug. And it's funny because what if there are no stories? Like that in and of itself, that question is a story, but it's just a beautiful thing to sit with for a moment. Like, oh, what if I just
like how would we live?
Yeah, what if I just jump tracks from this story going one way or the other to like, oh, what if it's something else entirely? What if this is purely for me, happening for me, not happening to me?
For me, yeah, everything is happening for us, not to us. What were the comments that are here?
Anna, I see you. Just one moment. Erutin said, I met someone who we both felt a twin flame relationship. We both experienced the defensiveness you mentioned. We both struggled with being full self-expressive and bottling things up. And then she said, we are such reflections, constantly layers of old patterns and unswerving habits coming up with opportunity for growth. But as I expressed, they would get hurt and defensive, and it was all my fault. Yeah.
And as they said, unserving. She said unserving. And that's exactly, that's so powerful to remember, is like, these things don't serve us. And so something that we can ask is like, how is this thing going to serve me or us as a collective? And how can we shift it and transform it to actually be a gift? And we have the power to transform it in every moment, because once we have the awareness that something can be a gift instead of a problem, then the way that we look at it completely shifts. The way that we choose. Yeah,
I would love to speak to that as well, especially that last bit where it's like, it's always all my fault. That too can even be a gift. And I find myself in that position a lot where,
Is that something that you can provide?
Yeah.
Do you need it now? Yeah? Is that something you could get quickly?
Yeah.
I can. We can. There's a bunch of comments.
Yeah,
I can.
I'll 1 second. I would love to just drop into
finish
this,
what
and then
you're
I'll
saying.
go. Help! This is one of the beautiful things of living in community. We get to be there to support everybody as we need and shift and flow. So thank you guys for bearing with us. So the fault thing and the roles that we get to play and how that can be a gift too is, there needs to be villains in order for there to be heroes. So sometimes we get to play that villain role, and it's really tough. It is really, really tough to accept that that is someone else's story, that they're putting that fault and blame on you. and that's just a projection of their internal experience. And that's okay. Like, sometimes I'm like, okay, I know what I'm going to say is about to trigger this person, and I know it's going to bring up a lot for them, and I know they're going to blame or feel betrayed or like whatever, any of these negative like stories and titles and labels that they're going to throw at you. And it's like, okay, I signed up for this contract so that you, like, our dynamic gets to experience forgiveness. Our dynamic gets to experience healing. Our dynamic gets to experience all this growth, and it pushes the narrative forward. So it's like being an agent of dark for the sake of good, for the sake of light.
Beautiful.
And there's a lot more there.
He'll be right. Yeah, this is all such big conversation. Brienne said, meditation and self-reflection often help me to realize that I do have the ability to notice, feel, and then release negative emotions. It has also helped me become a better listener for my partner. Yes, self-reflection. I mean, just being able to take a moment to check in with yourself and to take some moments and to separate yourself and to just take some deep breaths and to calm your energy and to do something that is going to shift your state, as opposed to just jumping right into whatever the conflict is. Because when we're in the mind and we're in that like inflammation energy and the intense energy, it's so challenging to be in presence and to be receptive and to be in love and to offer loving, caring, compassionate ways of being. So because you let yourself get carried away. So the most powerful thing we can do is actually take a step back and to come into that observer state. And then there are some comments right here. Did we already do this one? Cosmic Dariana?
No. So she said, my partner and I go through this as well. There are times I need to recognize that we may not be in the space to have this conversation right now. It will give me space to step back and really feel what comes up for me. Only once we both are in touch with how we feel about any issues can we have a fully open talk about it.
For sure. That's why it's so important to take a step back. That's how we gain perspective, and how we it's when you're in it, you're freaking in it. You're so in it that you cannot see. It's like you have blinders on. You've got like tunnel vision. This is all I see. This is what's happening, and it's happening to me. And the ego tries to like defend it and fix it and make it like wrong or bad or blame. But when we just take a step back, go on a walk, take some deep breaths, whatever you need to do, shake, dance, get into nature, then you can zoom out and you can see the big picture and you can actually see how this is happening for us, how this is a gift, how this is an opportunity. So it is like the most important thing we can do when you're feeling that energy coming up in your body is to just like breathe and take a step back.
And then we're going to go
quick. I would love to just point out as well that Joe and Dariana, I love you guys so much, and you're like but including these two magical humans right here, have one of the most beautiful relationships I have ever witnessed. And to hear even that you guys struggle at all on any level is just like a shock to my story. And that's just a reminder to everybody that like, no matter how perfect people seem or whatever, it's just like we're all human. We all get to go through these exact same processes. Really? Like even Mother Teresa was like, asked like, how do you maintain this like this ease and grace and beautiful presence all the time? It's just like, I have my days. You just don't see those. You don't hear about those. Those aren't the ones that make the quotes and the headlines. Like, we're all human.
I know, it was so funny. Ian, the other day, Magic and I were like, and Ian, but not like that much. I mean, that was exaggerating. But Ian was like, wow, I thought you guys were the perfect couple. And we like turned to him and we were like, or he was like, you guys are arguing. We're like, no, we're not actually even arguing. We're like talking about someone who we're trying to process through. And so it was actually about someone else, but we were like talking at each other about it and being annoyed together about the person. So it was kind of funny, but it is fun. It is interesting how people can put this like, oh, you're perfect. You don't ever
But we have
fight. But we have, and it's not even a fight. And even when sometimes magic will be like, fight, we call it a fight. I'm like, what? It's not even a fight. Like, we're just going through something. We're just moving through something.
But that's how I keep it playful, you know? I'm like,
master.
We're fighting.
I know. They'll be like, oh my God, wait, come in here. Come in here. Just lean in a little more. Yeah, it's not a big deal. You can do it. Yeah, you just lean in. So
going through being on video process.
Yeah.
Anybody feels the same?
I didn't part of any of this as well. There's something else. What comes up for me only once we're in flow with how we feel. Pixie flows. I'm right there with you. Thank you. Thank you. Feel you. Yeah.
Yeah, I can do this one.
Okay, perfect.
Because over here it's just.
Oh yeah, so you do that. Well, yeah. I just meant for you to still be a part of this. I'm just kidding.
I'll make it happen.
Okay, we're gonna make it happen. So 3 Eden Rose consciousness. Look, we're fighting. Did you say that? Oh my God. See, they say. The comment that the offering. Here and now, in all moments, past and future, with all that I am. I release and let go of this resistance. I destroy and uncreate the energetic cords connecting this construct to my being. Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a lovely little releasing. And then they also said, I transmute this fear-based frequency through all time, space, dimension, and reality to the vibrations of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And then also the Ho'oponopono prayer, which is really powerful. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. And thank you. Thank you for sharing. And then Ashley Peralta said, since we are all being open, I have been wondering what, Brandon, you meant by the comment on my first optimization challenge. Oh, is that on, that's on the Facebook group.
Shit.
We have a Facebook group community.
I've been wanting to get back to that.
Which is amazing.
Thank you for showing
what an
up
opportunity.
And following through, and also just having the presence to just present that in a very objective way.
Good for you.
Yeah,
Being
totally.
vulnerable.
Yeah, for sure.
And authentic. And then it says where you said you find it energetically difficult to watch my videos. I would love some clarification.
Yeah,
okay,
absolutely. I'm not sure. Honestly, I'm not sure if I have that, and I think I mentioned something to that. Like, I look forward to the opportunities to getting to sit with that more, and here's one of those opportunities.
Yeah, to get close for the cameras.
And so I'll just start practicing, like, what's already been coming through, and just, like, really claiming that, and that it has absolutely nothing to do with you, and it's everything to do with me, and it's probably something that I recognize in you that also comes up in me a lot. And... I mean, it just makes sense. It's this blame, this, like, I felt like if I remember correctly, it was something about, like, feeling like the world isn't doing enough about this corona thing or something like that, and it's just like...
That Ashley was expressing in her video? Uh-huh. Okay.
Yeah, and
just
then
so I want to understand what was happening.
And like I said, I really don't even remember it. I'll have to, like, go back into that in a more, like, direct space with you, and I'd look forward to and love to do that. But yeah, I think it was just I was, like, in a space where I was feeling a lot of, like, triggers and blame and annoyance and, like, these sort of things in myself. And so just, like, I was, like, on edge. So even just, like, the littlest bit from someone else or what have you was just, like, it wasn't even directed at me. It was, like, directed out at the world. And I was just like, bring it back to self, damn it. Like, because I needed to hear that. I needed to feel that myself. So ultimately, I was going through some energetic difficulties, and... I hope it didn't come across as projecting those onto you. And I hope that maybe brings some clarity into what was going on. But essentially, I was feeling like just tension in my temples, and I was feeling like, you know, I really love to give my absolute full heart and attention to each person that I connect with, and that as I was going through that, I was just like, for whatever reason, when I brought yours up, that I just couldn't bring myself to do that. And I was just being honest. And so I think it was one of the few videos that I didn't give an actual video response back to. So I just kind of wrote it out because I was processing it, and writing is a huge part of my process. So yeah, thank you for showing up, and thank you for being you. And yeah, I look forward to... connecting more. Your heart is beating so hard,
which is beautiful to recognize. what this
yeah,
brings.
Yeah,
I mean,
notice the heart.
I'm definitely down to even dive a little further here if you want to write out more, but I would love to like just be able to see you and feel you and connect, and so perhaps we can open that up a little bit more one-on-one, and if you're feeling called to bring it up here, that's what this is all for too.
Yeah, we just have a few minutes left, so I would definitely say dive in deeper, because it sounds like there's also more there.
Thank you.
And
Yeah, we'll dive in deep with Ashley and with Anna.
Yeah.
We're calling you after we got you. We see you. Trust me.
And then the other thing within that, a really powerful thing that we get to really practice is our ability to not take things personally, which is like a huge thing that I'm practicing right now, that we're practicing, of like when you see something, like it wouldn't have, if one of us were watching those videos, but we were so strong in our knowing and in our groundedness and in our like our ability to transmute, our ability to be an alchemist, then we would not see that and be like, whoa, that's intense. We would witness that video and be like, wow, they're really going through something. They're really feeling a lot of emotion. They're probably feeling loneliness and fear and frustration, and they want support. They need compassion, whatever it is. And from that space, we can say like, wow, I see your video and I see that you must be really hurting. Like, I would love to help support you. Maybe we can, have a deeper conversation. And so that is really a really powerful way that we have the opportunity to step into our ability to be alchemists, because we are so powerful. And we have so much that we can offer, and we can completely transform the space. We can completely transform a room when we really dive into that loving, compassionate space. And Jenna Booth said same, probably about what we were talking about just before this. And then, the 4 agreements. So, yeah, completely letting go of taking it personally.
Being impeccable with your word.
Yeah.
I don't remember the other two, but those two are my most important lessons for me. And then there's a comment on here from Arrow Tin. Did I miss the bit on ancestral traumas? Love to hear anything there's to share about this topic. Being in Armenia, my ancestors went through the genocide in 1915. So yeah, we actually haven't gotten really to that bit, and I'm not really sure what's there. It's just kind of been an intuitive ping that's associated with this thing, and I just speak to the stereotypes of like, the Jewish culture is that like this. I think the material aspect, that material like holding on to is part of that, and and then the like kind of like maybe blame and like nagging sort of vibes come up a lot for me, and like that side of my family and things like that, and ultimately a lot of this has come from like really severe traumas like genocide, that like and like famine and just like desperate times, and just like things that have needed to happen to like to be able to move through those in times, and just like kind of bottle that up or sweep that under the rug, and just like be able to move through what is actually coming up. And yeah, we have 2 minutes left over here, so maybe that's something that we get to dive in deeper on some other level. But ultimately, I think that healing ourselves in these personal moments and this like what's coming up for us right now actually will transmute the things that are coming down through the timelines as well.
Completely. That's it. I mean, the only thing that as we heal now, as we shift it and we dissolve, it is dissolved and opened. So Ashley also said, thank you so much for your perspective. She looks forward to diving in deeper with you. And Beautiful. She also looks at your energy as a growth edge as well. So I'm glad you see that as an opportunity for all of us.
There's so much that can be dived into here. And I love you guys, and I look forward to opening this more. I think this feels right as being more of a theme for my shop, my play shops.
Reach out.
So in the future, we'll get back to more comments after we literally have a minute. So just want to remind you guys that we are doing these play shops twice a day at 8:30 a.m., 5 p.m., 7 days a week. Find out more at optimystic.tv. Join our Facebook growth community and our play shops, and we're going to have some more group coaching and higher level offerings and things like that. For now, it's free until April 15th at least. We're going to work on actually creating a 2-week free trial going forward as well.
Yeah, Jenna.
So if you've gotten if you've gotten anything out of this, like, and you would love to share it, please do. Like I said, this is our highest excitement to share and grow and learn with all of you as well.
This can't be saved anyways, it's fine. Oh yeah, so thank you all so much again, and please feel free to message us with more questions for the future at Damiana Loves and
spirit.vanimal.
Yeah. So we'll stop this really quick and share it, and then we've got a few more seconds. So I would just really love to invite, I love Jenna Booth, she says galactic chain breakers. I love that. And would just love to invite any of you, if this really resonates, again, please share this with others, invite people to witness this magic, and also please just be in contact and ask questions for future things. And we are so grateful for everyone who came to be a part of this, and for your comments and your sharing, and yeah, just so grateful for bringing your offerings and your perspective. And please reach out to dive deeper with us if you want more consistent support. If you have things that are wanting to be looked at for next time, we can incorporate them into what we're diving into and what we're offering, and helping with more of these processes, and really to help support you in whatever you're going through. So thank you so much for tuning in.